Coming up tonight on Game All Nite, Chris Renshaw joins me from the Boards and Swords podcast and special musical guest, No One.
Welcome to Game All Nite.
Well, hello. Welcome to Game All Nite. As you can see, we have Chris from Boards and Swords coming on shortly, but I also would like to take a quick minute to introduce you to a new member. Well, he's not new. He's been with us from the beginning, but a new on-screen member. Groovin' Reuven is here. He's live in studio with me. He's playing the role of producer these days. By now, I'm sure you've heard that Gary has left the show, so Reuven has graciously stepped in. We're going to basically start the episode a little different. We're going to kind of go to banter and things like that and kind of see where that takes us in the future. So I think it'll be a little fun. I think it's going to be great. And then we'll get our guest out here and go from there.
Yep.
All right. Fair enough. Well, without further ado, everybody, let me introduce Mr. Chris Renshaw. How we doing, Chris?
Hi.
As he pops up on screen magically. And you could see all the shenanigans he's up to when you saw that screenshot and things like that. So, for those of you...
I had to keep myself from laughing. Where did he get those photos? Oh, wait. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Gotta love the internet. I go searching, and it doesn't help when I'm friends with people on Facebook. So, I even think I can find dirt on Bruno Feduti if I tried. But... no, it's great. And I think, I was just going to put the logo up, right? I was just going to put Boards and Swords, and I was just going to put that up there for you. But then I'm like, I got to put the OCD podcast, and then I got to, then I got to put the dirt bags of holding up there. And then I'm like...
Are you trying to tell me I do too much?
There's no such thing. I understand that, but you do a lot. So... is that all you're doing? Well, I guess technically you're also doing, segments for Board Game Breakfast and things like that. Like, my lord, man, where does this time come from? Are you, independently wealthy and just, live in your mom's basement or something? What's going on?
Well, I do stuff in my basement, so, that kind of helps.
Okay.
Plus, it helps that I'm a magician, so...
Ah, absolutely. Well, you need a time turner. That's going to help.
I also have a time machine. I built one. That was the first thing. It was like, okay, I gotta, flux capacitor this up.
All right. It doesn't happen to look like a big blue telephone box, does it?
No. I go my favorite movie is Back to the Future. So I went full on
DeLorean. Okay, fair enough. I mean, expensive, but, the stainless steel body makes it perfect for conducting the thermal energy as it comes through the time-space barrier. So I get that. Maybe we could upgrade to a Tesla, though. I think there's some potential, But then again, you're really screwed.
Gigawatts.
You need a few more gigawatts to make that happen. Absolutely. So... unlike previous guests, Chris is coming at us from in front of not board games, but a couple RGB books. RGB?
Are you sure? Where did
Red,
these
Green,
come
Blue?
from?
RPG books. Let's try that again.
Where did all those come from?
All right. We got to know, how many of those have you actually used in real life? Because I could say how many have you read, and it would probably be a fair amount. But how many have you actually been able to get campaigns for?
So this was funny. Somebody brought this up in a comment for a segment, and actually very little.
Okay.
Very little of these books have I actually used. Like I said, you're right. I've read most of them.
Okay.
But it's unlike board games.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to have a dedicated group that's willing to also play all those games, which is also kind of hard sometimes.
Right.
But like I said, I've said also before that I just buy them because you never know when you're going to be in a circumstance or someone's like, I really want to play a zombie game. And then you're like, I've got a book for that. So, and then the other thing of it is that even if I don't play the game,
right,
there still might be something in the book that I can use in another game. like a setting, or maybe there's a mechanic. Like in our D&D group, we actually don't use the initiative rolls that they use that they talk about. We actually, because when my group's not playing D&D, they will go off and play the Star Wars RPG from Fantasy Flight, and they like the initiative roll in that better. So we actually roll kind of like that. We kind of borrowed that mechanic and pulled it into our D&D game.
Okay.
So
just something, shake it up, do something a little different and things like that. Now, I know, like, you and I, like a lot of people actually on the show so far, we met out at, not Origins. I got Origins on the brain because I'm planning stuff now.
I was trying to remember if it was Origins or Gen Con.
It was Gen Con because it was in front of, we were waiting to go into the Secret Cabal meetup.
Got it. Right.
And we're hanging out in line for God knows how long. Because we got there, I think we got there like 5 o'clock, and
Well, you guys were waiting forever. I just waddled up, and then you were like, "Hey, Chris," and I was like, "Cool, I'm gonna stand up here in the front of the line, like I've been here the whole time."
I must be in the front row. Absolutely.
I just walk up like I own the place. So funny story. My birthday's actually in June as well.
Oh, is it? Are we a Gemini too?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I can't remember because it's like I'm on the borderline.
Okay.
Like, right about.
So you're like Cancer rising, kind of.
Yeah, like I'm at the very beginning of Gemini. But yeah, my birthday's during Origins, so.
Okay. Well, I will have to buy you a drink when we're out there.
In fact, so funny story, if you don't mind, it's actually related to one of the things I got up here. And it's just such an awesome story because it talks about like how cool the gamer, the group is. This is why I love like the community, especially RPGers. So
Awesome.
I was at Origins, and last year it was my first time, and to help pay my way, I ran a lot of games,
like
a lot of
every day book
games.
solid. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the groups I had at the beginning, I was running one of my favorite systems, Cypher system from Monty Cook, and they were like, "Oh, do you play this often?" Like Numenera, which is one of their big games. And I was like, "Yeah, I try to. Like I've played it a couple times, and I don't have a regular group or anything." And they're like, "Cool," because I backed their Kickstarter for their deluxe box, and they sent me 2 of them by accident. Do you want it? Like they said that just to keep it and give it to somebody, and I wanted to give it to somebody that would use it. And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." Like I'm here in my head, I'm thinking like, "Yeah, whatever. They're just saying this, whatever." But apparently they lived local, and they had signed up for one of my other games on another day because I was running 2 different games. So they signed up for the second game. So here they is. It's Saturday, June 17th, which is my birthday, and they come in and they're sit down and they have this huge
Holy
box
crap.
here. Yeah. So this is the Numenera Reliquary box. Like this thing retails for like, or it did now, you can't get it anymore, but it was like $150, $200.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That thing's a beast.
Like, here you go. And I was like, guys, this is like, you don't know this, but it's my birthday. So this is like the coolest birthday present ever.
That's pretty goddamn amazing. That's awesome. I love that. So basically, you do some board gaming, but you do a lot more RPG. Like that's where your heart lies, right?
Honestly, it's a scale.
Okay.
Like I kind of drift. There's a reason that when I started off, I named my website Obsessive Comics Disorder, and that is I float from thing to thing, but like I'll latch on to a topic and then like really get into it for a while, but then I'll move on to like the next thing. So I find it like I have spurts where it's like 1 month I just want to play a lot of RPGs, and then another month I'm really into board games. So I think I play more board games, but RPGs take up a lot of my thought time because it's a little bit harder to organize than like a board game. I can just show up and throw it down.
Right. I mean, and that makes a lot of sense because these are, they're bigger experiences, I guess is the best way to put it, and definitely require a little more effort. So So if you had to pick, like, you got an 8-hour Saturday and, people are available on both sides, it's really what I'm hearing is it's going to depend on the mood you're in, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's totally.
Okay.
But I will say that there's a reason I don't play like any game that takes more than like 3 hours. I'm out. Like
Because
board
you'd
game.
rather spend that
Because
time doing an RPG,
yeah,
right?
if I'm gonna spend like 4 to 5 to 6 hours playing a game, I'm gonna play an RPG.
Okay, so you and I playing in maybe an RPG about train building in the 1800s.
No.
I think maybe there's some ground to be had between 18XX RPG. I don't know, 18 RPG we'll call it. I don't know. I think we can collaborate on that. I'm sure the Grognards will love it. They'll love it.
Oh no! If anyone that listens to my show knows that, like the two things I hate, like your standard games, like your Mediterranean games, your farming games, and like train games and Western games. I'm like, no.
Just don't work.
Nope.
It's funny because I think, we get into these habits and we want to play, definitely in certain genres and things. And I think that speaks to, you wanting theme and you wanting something that kind of you can relate to like you do with an RPG, for instance. So
yeah, I want a story and an experience kind of thing.
Now we do need to get, did you ever pick up Paranoia? Because
no, that is on the like grand list of games, because although I've gamed a while, it's still like I've been in the like 15 years is about what I calculated how long I've been playing. But I'm still a lot of like the older games. Like I didn't deviate from D&D until maybe like 4 years ago.
Nice. So for those of you at home, there may be a contest in the near future, and Chris used to run a yeah, I'm talking about myself in the third person. Great, good start. I used to run a bulletin board, BBS, and it was titled Alpha Complex, which is where Paranoia takes place. And of course, like you had to gain different clearance levels and things like that. So yeah, I used to have people dial in. We're talking late 80s. It was fun. I had a good time with it. But I definitely want to dig down. Maybe there's a game to be had there. I know Jamie just picked it up. I want to play it. Hey, all three of us are going to be at Origins. I kind of sense opportunity.
I'm down.
Hello. Yeah. So we'll see if we can maybe make something happen. I think that'll be a lot of fun. We played a Paranoia Fiasco last year on my birthday, and it was interesting because everybody got into it. It was a lot of fun. All right. Well, this is a great time to take a quick pause for this quick commercial break. So we'll come right back after that, and we'll pick up where we leave off. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the show. Real quick, I just wanted to take a moment to let you know a few things about us. Number one is we have a Pod Pledge page. Now on there, you can donate any amount, monthly, weekly, daily, whatever, and any of that goes directly to support the show, build the sets, better equipment, and all those things. I'm not trying to get rich. I'm not trying to quit my day job. Just anything helps. Number two is please check out our social media. If you're not following us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, please do so. We definitely interact with our people a lot on there because we want you guys to be part of this show. Also, be sure to subscribe to YouTube. You know that little red button down there? Make sure you're clicking that, and also do the bell icon so that you can get notified whenever we post a video. Once, twice, maybe 3 times a week. Lastly, please be sure to tell your friends. Whether you retweet something, whether you go out and you tell them about the channel, show them a show, anything you can do to get the word out, we would greatly appreciate it. So that's it. I'm now going to return you to your regularly scheduled program. Operators are standing by. All right, welcome back. I got Mr. Chris Renshaw still. He didn't leave yet. He's still here. That joke never gets old.
That was an option?
Hey, you're the one with the cord that you could just kind of like snip behind the camera. So I'm like, all the choices on your side.
Somebody paid my wife to strap me in this chair. I thought it was you.
Mine thinks that I'm strapped, but she, yeah, that's a whole different story. So Chris has been in the hobby for a little while, and you've been podcasting, I believe, longer. than you have actually
Yeah.
been in the hobby. So you're kind of the reverse of a lot of people in this biz, right?
Yes. So back in 2009, I moved up here to Maryland, and I had just started hanging out with a new group of friends. And guy showed me, or just like, oh, you ever listen to a podcast? And I'm like, what is that? So I listened to a couple things, and then he's like, and then after a couple talks, he's like, we should do a podcast. And I'm like, sure, okay, you know.
Because that
and
always is how it goes.
he was a musician, so he had all the equipment. So literally, I just had to show up and talk.
Nice.
Which anyone that knows me knows, once you get me started, I can't stop. So, well, we used to, me and and it's actually now my co-host on Boards and Swords, Colin. Me and Colin used to quote movies all the time. It's like, oh, we should do a podcast about quotes. So yeah, it was. We only did it for like 30 episodes, but I was like, I love this. This is like, I need to keep doing this. So we ended up, so he, like, for different reasons, we ended up parting ways on that show. And then I ended up buying like all the you know, all these microphones and things. And about that time, I started getting into comic books.
Gotcha.
And so it's like, and the thing about the way I am is like, I want to like talk and share things with people. Like I get
Right.
so juiced up, I just want to talk about things.
Yeah, you
And
just want to
so-
evangelize and kind of
Yeah. Well, no. Just
talk
like
about
that,
the
like,
thing you
oh,
love.
Cool. Did you see? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's almost like water cooler talk. Like, oh,
Okay.
did you see this issue where, you know, this thing happened, kind of thing. And so I was like, oh, I'll do a podcast about comic books. And it took me like about 6 months to figure out how I wanted to do it. Actually, I have video of like, because at first I was like, oh, comic books are a visual thing, I should do a YouTube show.
Okay.
Oh my god. And it was, I tried to do, I did like a trailer for it, and I think I still have the video somewhere, and it's utterly terrible.
I think if you still search my my past, I think you'll find some of my old cooking videos still exist, because I thought that I was going to do that, and I'm like, this is a lot of freaking work.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I was post editing and cutting everything and trying to shove it back together, and I'm like, you know, if I had to do that these days, I would not do this. This is all like, we pretty much record this straight out of this, and thank God, because
You should totally do it.
no.
The Gaming Gourmet.
The Gaming Gourmet.
You got it.
Well, you know, hey,
I
inside
want to know how to
teaser.
make pancakes in the shape of meeples.
There you go. I think actually I would need JP, because he'd need to make the meeple mold, and then we could maybe go from there. So I think it's that might be a collaboration. But, you know, funny you mentioned that, because there's actually going to be on an upcoming episode. It may pass, it may come up, depends on how the Chris's fall. Chris Miller and I are going to do a crossover extreme with Chris Cooks.
Oh yeah.
And so so we will cook. You'll get me in the kitchen again, but, you know, we got to hammer out time to make that happen. So, yeah, but no, I feel your pain. Those early videos are tough, man, and you're trying to figure it out, and God, I'm still awkward on camera. This isn't easy stuff.
Yeah, well, that's why you just like forget video. Video's too much work. You go to. That's why I just started doing podcasts, and then eventually, when you get comfortable with the way your voice sounds, because that's weird at first. Like,
Oh
that's
my
how I
God, it's
sound.
horrible.
And then once you get comfortable with that, and the idea of, oh my God, I'm putting this out there, where like my grandmother watches and listens to my stuff and comments on it. You know, once you can get comfortable with that, then you can be like, okay, now I can show my face.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. It's this kind of came out of nowhere, me wanting to do a video show again, and it was there's a lot of comfort zones you got to get out to, you know, do this. It's really, I don't know, it's awkward, it's weird, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's fun, you know. My mother-in-law, who's, you know, she's close to 80, if not right there, she watches my show. You know, it's kind of like, I don't understand a lot of it, but I like it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. So you also then, let's fast forward a little bit. 2009, you do that for a little bit. You do your other thing. So the board gaming bug bit for you I believe you told me it was tabletop that did it for you as well. That was really what sunk the teeth in me.
2012 was definitely like when I started dabbling. I was watching, like, that was when Geek and Sundry came in.
Yeah.
And, oh, I like Felicia Day. Oh, Will Wheaton's real cool. And I'll just watch, like, I had Settlers of Catan, I think. Well, actually, no, I may have got that. Munchkin. I had Munchkin, and I had played Munchkin before. Like, that was my entry point, if you will, for modern board gaming. So I'd played that, and I liked that because it was a good transition from, like, D&D. Munchkin's a pretty good, natural fit.
Yeah, there's definitely corollary there. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then so you'd see tabletop and, like, all these games come out, like Settlers of Catan, Ticket to Ride, Small World. So I'm like, okay. And it also worked out that, like, a year later in 2013, we had a local store open up.
Oh, okay.
And so it was great because they had a board game night on Monday nights, and they had a deal when, like, they first started where if you showed up 4 nights in a row, then you could buy a game at cost.
Interesting.
So, like, that's how my collection, like, blew up. So eventually they figured out, probably because of me, that it was not economically feasible to do that.
Right. But I mean, it's a great jump start, I'm sure. I mean, that was definitely a good way to get them to build a community real quick. Now, what did it for me was, it was funny. I actually had Catan for a year and a half, I believe. I think I got it in Christmas of 2010, if memory serves, before tabletop even aired, and I'd never played it. And it wasn't until it was on tabletop, I'm like, I think I own that. And then next week, I'm like, and I'd already bought a few other ones. Like, I think I bought Ticket to Ride at that point. I think my friend had Carcassonne, but, like, we had a couple, and I think it was Ticket to Ride that kicked it over. So, I kind of wish tabletop, in that those first 2 seasons were wonderful. That was a lot of fun. And, rules are going to be wrong. That's not what we're watching for. We're watching for the same thing we're watching, hopefully. You at home are watching this. We're watching it for the entertainment value, and to have the fun and to see the camaraderie, and that's what I think attracts you to this hobby, right?
Yeah. So I have funny stories. So I'm gonna apologize.
If you don't tell me they're funny, I'm not going to know it. Just so you know.
Not funny, haha, but just interesting, funny. I actually had the first Gen Con I went to. I actually had a big discussion with Tom Vassell about tabletop, because, like, like a lot of board gamers, like, poo-poo tabletop or whatever, but I had this kind of epiphany because I call myself a geek of all trades. I pass through a lot of different genres, and so there was like, I was having this discussion about how I got into tabletop because of the show, and he was taking kind of, like, the standard position, like, oh, it's whatever. Like, he wasn't bashing it, but he was just saying, like, it's not, he doesn't see why it's so like it got so popular and that sort of thing. But he was telling me that he loved, at the time, they also had that Spell Slingers magic game.
Yeah.
That for Magic the Gathering was hosted by Day 9.
Right. Those are interesting.
But anyways, he was like, oh, I love that show. And I'm like, you see, here's the thing. Magic players, because I kept hearing them in the store, they hate that show.
Sure.
So it's like, it's just, you got to think that if you don't like it, maybe it's not for you. Like, tabletop for a lot of us was the gateway into the thing. And, like, one of the main reasons that I don't watch it as much now is because, like, I'm exposed to a lot of those games, and maybe it's not for me anymore. Just like, for a Magic player, they may not be, so.
No, I think you're exactly right, because I think, seasons 1 and 2 stand out to me because everything was brand new, and then they went on that hiatus. They ran the Kickstarter for 3, which, I totally threw money at, or Indiegogo, as it were, at the time, I believe. And, they got like $3 million. They did the RPG show. Now, I enjoyed the RPG show that they did way more than I did the actual tabletop, because there you go, Titan's Grave. But you know, that's because for that exact reason, right? We were just pushed not to like that next level gateway. And, you
Right.
know, I think that that's really, but, you know, I wouldn't have found, The Adventures of Baron von Munchausen. I wouldn't have found Fiasco. I wouldn't have found a lot of those things if it hadn't been for tabletop because, you know, they brought different things out. And that's the one thing I love. And, you know, you can't fault somebody for doing something awesome that brings people in either. I think that
Yeah.
that's, yeah, and I think he kind of got tired of all the butthurt people were getting, and you know, that it was like rules are wrong, and it was, you know, and I think it kind of turned into that thing, and it just kind of, you know, it takes the fun out of a thing, right?
Right. But it was interesting, all of that around that, and then also the discussions I'd have, not only with Tom, but like other people in
Right.
board gaming, just all the what I've experienced in the community. It's helped help me out as a reviewer
Mm-hmm.
because I come to realize that there's really no such thing like. Sorry, I just heard a bunch of stuff just randomly fall. But
It's not in shot. You're good.
no, I'm just like, is there a ghost?
Maybe.
But like there are you can have objectively bad games, but like
Right.
as a general rule, there's not really such thing as a bad game. There's a bad for you game. And that's what I try to take into like if like sometimes if I utterly despise a game, sure I may
Mm-hmm.
bash it. But for the most part, I'll just say, here's why this wasn't for me. And then that way, you know, like, okay, I like some of the same stuff he likes, so maybe I won't. Or, you know, I try and compare it to things like, you know, this felt too much like this game, or that these are the I try and make comparisons so that you know so much that, you know, like my best friend Philip, he still contends Munchkin is one of his favorite games of all time. I keep trying to show him different games, but it just goes to show you that just because you don't like a game doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't love it for that same reason.
Yeah, and I think you know you need look no further than the sales of Munchkin to
Right.
realize that very fact, right? Nobody's sitting there buying every single expansion pack for every single variety that they want. You know, because that's because they love it. They love the art. They like the humor. They, you know, whatever it is about that that attracts them to it, it's fine. And they all let them be them. Maybe, hey, maybe they kind of fixed with a house rule. They fixed the end kill the leader problem, so that the last person in actually gets it. Maybe they fixed that in their own way and they play it completely. You don't know what happens in somebody's game room, right?
Exactly. Or they just may only play it a few times. Like they're not obsessed like we are, where we have to play things like multiple times. They may only break it out like a couple of times a year, so it doesn't, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever. They just may like the game. You know, the experience they have is what they want. So that's why they keep playing that game because they keep getting that
Yeah.
experience out of that game.
Yeah, it speaks to them on a level that works. I mean, and you can't fault them that. That's absolutely right. So that's awesome. I think that, you know, it's interesting to see that, you know, and I think you kind of show that people's journeys into, through, and around this hobby are all so different. You know, our take on it, our view on it, and you know, I think it harkens back to, you know, Crystal's conversation I had with her, Roy's with the family. It just all goes to show you that it's really about, you don't know what that other gamer's like. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what they're up to. So we just got to be omni welcoming. There you go. Be welcoming to everybody, right?
Yeah, and that's actually why I really like the format that we have now for my main tabletop show, Boards and
Okay.
Swords, is that like because you know it took me like 50 episodes for me to figure out what I wanted to do, but now you know there's four of us and each one of us has different like we're basically represent a different type of board gamer. Like,
Sure.
you know, Colin and Cindy are very much like your traditional Euro game. You know, they love the trading in the Mediterranean, the farming. You know,
Okay.
if it's got cute animal meeples, then you know Cindy will love it. That sort of thing. And Philip is very much like the new gamer. Like, there'll be games where he's like, what? Like we're talking about it and he's like, what? And it helps keep us in focus because like you never know when there's that person that has never really gotten into games. And so he provides that kind of, he's like the everyman, if you will, kind of for our show.
Okay.
And then there's me for a lot of like the heavy thematic, miniatures and like Cthulhu style games for that kind of crowd.
Right.
And so you get to see like each person's different take on a particular game.
And you know what's funny? I think if you go back and you find what interests you as like what you listen to, what you intake, is you want varying opinions and you want people to defend themselves. You don't want a bunch of people going, oh yeah, it's great because, it's great because of this or it's great because of that, because that's good. But do we really get information out of that when we say, I really like it, but the art's just not good, or the execution of this isn't good. Having somebody else, like if you're somebody whose art's really important to, that's a great thing to know. But if it's something you're like, I don't really care, like give me Terraforming Mars all day long, then that person is happy with it. So it's important to have, not yes men and not to have an equal voice. We want to have a variety of voice. And I think it's definitely true of all the stuff I listen to.
Yeah, and like just for an example, way back, I think it was like December, Colin and Cindy were talking about this. I think it's Harvest from Tasty Minstrel Games.
Yeah.
It had just come out around PAX Unplugged time, and they were talking about it, and I was just kind of like dazing off a little bit because it's like this just sounds like every other game that they talk about. Then they brought out the box, and I almost had to be like, okay, I need you to start over telling me, because the artwork was so cool looking, like not in like a super intense, but just the graphics. It wasn't like your standard kind of drab board game. Like it had some color and some life to it. And I'm like, I'm kind of interested in this now. I still haven't played it, but only because I have a ton of other stuff on the shelf.
Sure.
But it was like, okay, I'm interested now.
And that's definitely the way it goes. And I think that it's important, there's an important takeaway there, people. If you're content creators, it's why I love like the Dukes of Dice and, those podcasts, because, Brawling Brothers, it's the same thing because they don't like the same things at all. So, it's like that makes it interesting and adds variety. And, sometimes you agree with one and sometimes you agree with the other. And that's good because then you cover all those bases, right?
Yeah, I take and I make no shame in the fact that I pick on Colin all the time because like his favorite game is Carson City, and I hated the game when we played it, and so I take every attempt I can to kind of like drive that stake in there.
Well, I love it. Sorry to say, it doesn't come out nearly enough because I think it's got enough mechanics in there that kind of screw with the people who want to play Agricola too much, that they don't want to play it with you because there's like, but I took that spot. You can't take that spot. I'm like, I have guns. I'm taking that spot. So I like what it does, but interesting. So what do you say we play a game, sir?
I don't know. I'm not really into games.
All right. Well, then let's do something different. Then let's not do a game. Let's tell a story. How's that?
Let's do an activity. I prefer activities.
An activity? All right, we can do that too. So we're going to do that, and we're going to come back right after this, and then you all will get to see what we're going to do. Today's media creator shout out goes out to The Draft Mechanic. Join Jake and Danielle as they talk about beer and board games. If I didn't do this podcast, chances are I'd be doing exactly what they are. Great, informative, and fun. Be sure to check out The Draft Mechanic.
Time!
So, welcome back. I've had requests in the past to ask what I'm drinking, and I failed. I meant to do that in the banter at the beginning, but for those of you playing along at home, if you want to rewind, watch it again, please do. Tell your friends. I'm drinking a Bullet Mule, which is quite fun. But most of you don't care about that. Most of you care about what activity Chris and I are going to do.
Maybe.
So
Some people might.
Some people might. I mean, they stuck around this long. Either we're on the background at work and they're just listening, going, "These two idiots." It's what's on their feed. But I'm going to err on the side of people want to watch this, and this might be the best part. So the game I came up with Chris is Chris likes to tell stories, and I think I misunderstood obsessive comics disorder, and I thought Chris was funny. So I kind of came up with a game called Whose Line RPG Session. So what we're going to do is we're going to play like Whose Line Is It Anyway? They do a thing where they have lines on a card and then they have to pull them out of their pocket at various parts of a scene. So we have that. We did it electronically. There are some that got emailed to both of us. So we are going to work out a scene together that we will establish pretty quickly with the help of Reuven and Chris and myself. We'll all contribute to this. And then we're going to act it out, or act as much as one can sitting down. All right. And then we'll, at various points, we're going to have to pull one of these lines out and read it. And it gets incorporated into whatever we're doing at the time. Sound like fun?
I'm game.
Oh, it sounds like fun. Trust me.
It's awesome.
Trust me. It's going to be awesome. Thank you, Reuven. You've got my back. I appreciate that. All right. So the first thing we need is the scene where this is going to take place. The setting, the world, everything like that. And I think, given the fact that, we have a little foreknowledge with what's on our cards, I'm going to make Reuven pick the area that this takes place. Where is this taking place, Reuven?
At the main gaming hall of the Dice Tower Con.
So we're at Dice Tower Con in the main gaming hall, in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like smack in the middle, peak business. We're not playing pitch car or anything, right?
No, we're actually by the library.
By the library, okay. Look, man, let's pick a game already. We've been here for like an hour, and all we've done is like oogle all these board game celebrities, and I just want to play a game. I thought that's what this con was about.
Well, yeah, but that was because, I told you I didn't want to play Munchkin anymore, all right? If you would just open up to, like, maybe a good game, like, I don't know, like Exploding Kittens or something, we could play that, like a good game.
Well, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
Whoa. I mean, are you trying to say you want to play an escape room game? Like, I'm totally down for that.
I think that's exactly what I'm down for.
Well, you know what? I really like that outfit on you.
Well, I appreciate that. It's it's not easy to pick out plaid that goes with beige. I mean, it's just not. And thank you for noticing.
Most people couldn't rock it, but you do.
Well, thank you. All right, look, I'm sorry I'm snapped at you. It was a really long 2-hour flight to get down here. Mickey almost punched me in the parking lot. Let's go grab a game. What do you think about this one over here? Because, once you pop, the fun don't stop.
That is true. I mean, Trouble is a really cool game. And I mean, the Pop-O-Matic thing.
Absolutely.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with that.
No. I think, but, I want something with maybe some minis, something that we can, like, sink our teeth into. So let's go over down here and see what we can find.
All right.
What do you think about this?
Just to warn you, this ride's going to get a little bumpy.
Dude, we're just walking 4 feet. How bad can it get? Have you seen
this floor? Look at this floor. I mean, like, this floor puts the tables at Origins to shame.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Me too. That's why I said to watch your feet.
Oh, look, just grab anything you want to play. At this point, I don't care if we play Munchkin. I don't care if we play Twilight Struggle. Well, I might care if we played that. But anything. Just grab something.
All right, here. You got to smell this.
Dude, unless it's magic packs, I'm probably not going to be interested because there's nothing like
seriously, you should smell this game.
All right.
Like
so-
it's literally called the smells game.
But it sure would be nice if we had some grenades.
I mean, sure, if we wanted to like blow up some bad games, sure.
Well, you know what? Let's just go over and watch the Dice Tower do Wits and Wagers. I'm done.
What do you mean you only packed one?
I think that was the softball pitch I gave you guys.
We're out of here. I'm done. So that was it. So it was just a quick scene. I thought that was fun. It was enjoyable. Thanks a lot for being on, Chris. Where can people find you? I mean, this might take 10 minutes, people, but point them in the direction so that they may join you.
Honestly, the best thing to do is twitter.com/Chris the Prof. That is probably, everything gets posted to Twitter. It's kind of like the main social media platform that I use, and I like talking to people on that.
Okay.
Outside of that, OCDcast.com and YouTube.com/OCDcast is where everything I do gets posted.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show, sir. And I appreciate you playing along with a little Who's Line. Thank you for watching. He watched. He had to watch. It's the only way he knows what's going on. And be sure to have fun when you game all night. Good night. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our efforts at comedy and fun, please support us on Podpledge. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, don't forget to engage with us on Board Game Geek Guild 3134. You can also check us out on our website, GameAllNightShow.com. This show has been made possible through supporters like these. Angry Octopus.